the weight on my shoulders. As I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
FT Live, hour number 2. Mix in your questions for us about trades and all of that, and we'll get to them as we roll along here. Also, we've gotten quite a few requests lately for merch, shirts, and hats. They do exist. FoulTerritoryShow.com and click shop, or just go to FoulTerritoryShop.com. Okay, so first off, just something fresh for you. And if you backtrack to hour number 1, we go in depth on the Kiké Hernandez trade over to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And tonight, starting at second base, Kiké, he's in there tonight, back with the band. And also, Kiké is most likely joining us either tomorrow or Friday on this very show called Foul Territory.
Let's go.
Braun Fraser Kratz right now. So let's do a little spreading rumors, and then eventually we're going to talk to Grant McCauley about the Braves and Ross Stripling about his San Francisco Giants, who have a few big things in the news lately. But we're going to spread some rumors and help to kind of pass along what Katie Wu, who covers the Cardinals for The Athletic, put out there yesterday. Does a great job covering the ball club. So Jordan Hicks is one of those players on the trade block for the Cardinals, right? Like half the team is kind of on the trade block, especially the guys that are going to be free agents at the end of the season. So Jordan Montgomery, and we could see Flaherty dealt, maybe Stratton and DeYoung. But she said the Cardinals are still selling. If both sides are unable to come to an agreement on terms, then they are going to trade Aaron Hicks. But as of right now, Hicks has his reps, and the Cardinals have their people that do the negotiating, chit-chatting to see if there's an extension in play. And there is a lot of heat in St. Louis about this.
So before we even get into that, you should be excited because this is like direct. You know they're selling, but if not, they're signing him. If not, they're selling. So they came out and said that, right? Mm-hmm. So we talked about this yesterday. Why don't they just come out and tell them what they're going to do? Well, this is number one. All right, we'll take that.
Well, their front office didn't say. Katie did the great reporting for us. But I know what you're saying. Like, this is happening.
I believe Katie. She's
100%.
not going to write something that, wasn't said, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good start. It's just kind of weird. It's either one big thing or another. So what does Hicks want to do? I mean, I guess the ball's in his court because he's got to decide what he wants to do. Does he want? If he doesn't want to stay there, he could be like, the money's no good. Just trade me.
Can I describe what I think's going on behind the scenes?
Sure.
Because Cardinals fans, many of them are pissed. Do you know why?
Go ahead.
They're like, this is our one time to sell and pick up some pieces. We need better prospects. And now you're just trying to keep the dudes that are free agents, and we're going to get nothing for them. They're like, let them go in free agency and then try and sign him. What's going to change in the next 2 months? If he gets hurt, actually, then it's a whole different situation. And he's had a lot of injury issues. My thought here, Cardinals are trying to get a discount from him. Because otherwise, why are they negotiating with him? Kratzy, you're shaking your head, right? Otherwise, why am I negotiating with you right now? I think they're pushing something across the table like, hey, did you see what Clase got a couple years ago with way less team control? We'll offer you half that if you want to stay. Otherwise, we're trading your ass.
Yep. Oh, you don't want to be traded? Oh, is that the issue? Like, they're definitely trying to strong arm him here. And he's got to he is close to free agency. And he's having really the bounce back year that he's looking for after being hurt and, kind of flowing into it. And he's doing well. To me, it better be a good deal for him.
I don't think it is. I think it's a good deal for most of the planet saying, hey, he's going to make millions of dollars, but he's so close to free agency. Dude throws $1 billion. I think there's teams that also think that they can unlock him in a different way than what the Cardinals have done and pick up more strikeouts from him. Yeah. Right. So just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Crazy part about the game.
I think the Cardinals need to focus on making trades and get themselves better here. One team that already made a deal, the Atlanta Braves. Let's get into Charlotte's Web Player Access, sponsored by Recreate. They are connecting us with our friend Grant McCauley. Back with us. We did a little watch party action. We were like, we got to get Grant on the show soon. I've done some guest appearances with Grant. You can listen to him on 92.9 The Game, also Locked On Atlanta, YouTube, radio, the whole deal. He's everywhere talking Braves. Grant, great to see you. And this is maybe my favorite time of year. It is trade season. So happy trade season to you. And where are we at right now with Atlanta?
Yeah, happy trade season to you guys as well. I love getting the hot stove right smack dab in the middle of the year as we head into a pennant race. And I'm expecting the Braves to be active. I mean, they showed us this week. I put a poll on Twitter that lasted for about 48 hours before the Braves proceeded to make 3 different roster moves, 2 of them trades, thinking over under 2.5 trades for the deadline. But Alex Anthopoulos has shown each and every year he's going to go out, he's going to make multiple deals, he's going to find ways to make this club better. But unlike some of those other years, I mean, you've got Max Fried coming back, hopefully very soon. AJ Minter not far behind. I'm not really sure, other than adding some bullpen depth, if there's something the Braves need to do. But Alex Anthopoulos has never really just rested on, okay, well, I'll make this little deal here. That should be enough, and we'll just, head on about the second half and see what we can do. So I'm very fascinated to see what kind of deals he gets kind of off the radar, the way he did Raisel Iglesias last year, that could benefit the Braves in the bullpen and maybe somewhere else.
Hey, I got to be honest with you. If you were on the show yesterday, excuse me, I wore that same shirt.
Oh, there we go.
That would have been unbelievable, by the way. First and
it.
foremost, because we think alike. We got good flavor.
It's a great shirt.
It is. Sir. It's a really good shirt. Don't mess with Joe Boo's rum.
Can you read? Yeah. Can you read it there? Here, just straighten it out for the crowd here for 1 sec.
It's very bad to drink Joe Boo's rum. Very bad.
Very bad.
Hey, so for me, the Braves are unbelievable. They just do what they do. They go about their business. And you're talking about bringing in pieces. You got Taylor Hearn that just came in as well. I don't think they need anybody. I think they're the best team in baseball. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's the crazy thing about the Braves and the run they got on starting in June. I mean, that's a level of baseball that, it's not sustainable over 162, but what they did during that time, putting so much distance between themselves and the rest of the division, it feels a lot different this year, that's for sure. And having the best record in baseball is kind of the proof right there. But they lost Minter and Nick Anderson right out of the All-Star break. They're already without Jesse Chavez. And, Dylan Lee's been out for over 2 months. So their 2 best lefties and 2 very important other right-handers for this bullpen are out. So I don't know that, need is probably stretching it. And I know it's not the most exciting answer during a trade deadline to tell you I'm not sure the club needs a lot to agree with you. But I do think the depth that they're looking for, whether it's Pierce Johnson that they got from the Rockies, who does strike out a lot of guys, it's just maybe pitching out of Coors Field will help him out. And then, like you mentioned, you got Taylor Hearn, and then Yanni Chirinos could be a nice little depth piece for the Braves for whatever length of time. I think Max Fried's return is going to be a big factor as well. And maybe get Kyle Wright back at the start of September. So all of a sudden, it does feel like a lot of the pieces are already in-house. And I think that does make this a very different trade deadline.
So you go shopping at the same store that Todd shops at, but you go to the barber at the same barber that I shop at. So we got a lot in common, all right? So this is why you're on the show. I want to know, could the Braves trade from any of their strengths? Because everyone is trading, we have this because Anthopoulos looks at things so much differently than everybody else. Is it possible they could trade from some of their strengths?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested with the where the farm system is as to what kind of deals can come together, because Atlanta went out to Oakland and went shopping each of the last 2 winters and pulled off trades that in hindsight, you look back at them, and there's no knock on some of the prospects in both of those deals, but the Braves got bona fide stars that they have plugged in behind the plate in Sean Murphy and, of course, at first base with Matt Olson. And they did not pay a bunch of top 100 prospects in order to get that done. I think it was Shea Langoliers and Christian Pache were the 2 biggest prospects they let go. But I kind of flash back to 2021 when he had to remake the whole whole outfield, and the Braves made that run to the World Series. I think he traded 1 top 30 prospect in all of those deals to get the likes of Soler and Duvall and Jock Peterson. And, with what they did, it's hard to put into words exactly. Creative, I guess, maybe is what this front office is. They identify value in a way that helps them, find deals that are kind of off the radar, as I mentioned earlier. Nobody had them getting Raisel Iglesias a year ago, and they certainly did it. We were in the middle of one of those press conferences for someone else getting an extension, whether it was Spencer Strider or Michael Harris. I don't remember which one, but you're giving out long-term deals to the young guys. You're going out and getting the pieces that you need. So nothing really would surprise me, other than the fact that they're not going to mess with their core, obviously. But it's not a minor league system that has been as stocked the last few years as it had been over the course of that rebuild. So I don't know if there are the big exciting pieces and prospects to get a huge blockbuster deal done. But Alex Anthopoulos has worked his magic time and time again. We'll see what he can do again at this trade deadline.
Okay, Grant. So give me a dream and a nightmare. So for dream, what is like one trade where you'd be like, yeah, I know it's piling on, but this would make Braves country go nuts? And sure, I mean, if you want to go up to Otani level, go for it. But like you said, that might be a tough task with what they have assets wise, and also that
Yeah.
they're most likely not dealing him. So maybe one step down. On the nightmare side, what's something you fear for this ball club the rest of the season, which obviously can be tied to, say, pitching injuries that have popped up?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give you nightmare, and it would be more injuries. I mean, this club, despite all of that, has managed to do the things that it's done this year, but they've kind of set themselves up in the second half to look forward to some comebacks, particularly for Max Fried and for Kyle Wright. That would make this season run a lot better if those guys jump back in rotation, especially heading into October. But as far as a dream trade, I would love to be signed up. I'm on the waiting list for Shohei Ohtani, along with so many other baseball fans of their individual team, and this winter is going to be wild. But I'm just not convinced that he gets moved. So failing getting Shohei Ohtani, I was looking around some of the relievers that I think could make a lot of sense for the Braves. I like Carlos Hernandez of the Royals, and if you could get Scott Barlow perhaps as a rental in a 2-for-1, I think that's a trade that it may not make Braves fans go nuts. They may not be dancing in the streets, but it would make this bullpen a lot better. And I think that is the number one area that this team could really use right now. And as we all know, that plays big in October.
A question for you too here. That was pretty good. But Max Fried, he's on his way back. I mean, that's just another piece for guys to be worried about, whatever team they play. And he's going to be most likely fresh off what he's been doing. So, I mean, is he coming back shortly? Like, have you heard anything else about what his prognosis is?
Yeah, the plan for Max Fried is to make his fourth and presumably final rehab start for the Gwinnett Stripers tonight in Jacksonville, and then be back with the club, obviously, as soon as 4 or 5 days from now, to take a turn in rotation when the Braves get back home against the Milwaukee Brewers, I would presume. That's going to make a huge difference. And yeah, I mean, again, I know it's not the most exciting thing to not be shopping and looking for some of the big names that could move. And I do think it's going to be an interesting trade deadline, but Fried's return will really just kind of set the rotation right, because you've got what Strider has done this year. Bryce Elder stepped up big time. I believe that Charlie Morton is a more than serviceable middle to back end rotation starter, if that's what you want to call him these days. And then maybe get Kyle Wright back in there. But Fried, I feel like, is that first big step to getting the Braves back to that optimal health, optimal strength, the way that they would have written this thing up in spring training, if you could actually have control over when people get hurt and obviously what they're able to do when they're out there.
Are there some nerves thinking, like, we have done so well with these young guys that you bring Fried back and you talk about maybe Kyle Wright coming back in September, mid-August, whatever the time he comes back? Is there a little bit of fear that these guys might screw up what we already have going?
I don't think so. And the big reason why is that it's been such a mix and match scenario to try to get the fourth and fifth spots of the rotation locked down. I mean, we had the return of Michael Soroka, who I do anticipate seeing again at some point. He's kind of stuck in the weird purgatory of being a guy that has options, and that's changed a lot in the way that the Braves like to send up and down pitchers, and obviously they're dealing with a lot of injuries. But Bryce Elder stepping into the back end of the rotation, I feel like once you finally get Wright and you get Fried back in there, that five, along with Strider and Morton, is about as good as it can possibly get for the Braves. I mean, I'm not thinking of a better Atlanta rotation in recent years anyway than what that could be at full strength. So if there were clearer answers and guys that had really stepped up, and you're kind of in that scenario where you're wondering, well, when this guy comes back, well, what do we do with this other guy? He's been pitching so well. Elder's really the only guy that checks that box. The Braves went through Dylan Dodd, Jared Schuster, even a 20-year-old A.J. Smith-Shawver they brought up. I mean, that's a guy with a lot of promise. But none of those guys were really able to hold on to rotation spots. So I think that there's an eagerness and an anticipation to get Fried and Wright back in this rotation. But there's also been just very much everybody deals with injuries. Brian Snitker says that time and again. And I think they just have taken that next man up mentality to the next level. And they've been able to do a lot despite not having two of their best pitchers all year.
Grant, I know you're dialed into this team as much as anyone out there. So Jackson, one of our fans, just asked, is Vaughn Grissom, the trade chip? So want to just get an update on how he's been doing. Obviously, it hasn't worked out the way that most of us thought. But I will preface this by saying we didn't think he was going to be called up last year. It was an early aggressive call up. He's still super young, figuring out where he's going to play. But where is he at this year? And also, could someone like that be used, or are they looking to deal younger prospects that are not as close to being an impact in the bigs?
I think that Grissom, with what he did last year, in particular, the success that he had at second base, I mean, there are questions about whether or not he'll be a big league shortstop long term. His belief is that he can be, but how are clubs going to look at him, and where might there be an everyday job for a team that is out there looking for a player that can hit the way that Vaughn Grissom can? There's not much question about that. He's had a really good year at the plate in AAA. He's hitting well over 300, on basing really well, and he's playing some shortstop, playing some second base. And I do think that that's the kind of player that when you put a package together, especially at 21, 22 years old, a lot of teams would love to have somebody that they could, put at the keystone position, or they could try him out at shortstop and give him a little bit of run. But I think even though he came up this year and didn't necessarily light the world on fire in his second go round at the big leagues, that's probably one of the Braves' main trade chips. And looking at AJ Smith-Shawver as another one, I don't anticipate him being the kind of arm that they want to move because of the age and the upside. But, if you're able to make the trade that puts a team that's this good over the top, I think, pretty much everybody's in play right now if you're the Atlanta Braves. I mean, short of, maybe trading away the guys you just drafted, 2 weeks ago. So we'll see what they decide to do. But I do think Vaughn Grissom's a big trade chip for this team, yes.
All right, so I'm just going to switch gears just a little bit. Here's a little trivia. When was the last time the Braves turned an 8-3-5 triple play?
I'm going to go 1884, and I'm going to guess they were called the Boston Bean Eaters back then.
You probably know better than me, but that was unbelievable play last night.
Yeah.
But, hey, it is, and they ended up still losing the game, but still.
Of course.
Listen, I say it over and over, and I tell everybody this. Everybody's like, oh, man, you play for the Mets. Why aren't you? I'm rooting for the Mets. But at the same time, the Braves are just that good. There's nothing that can stop this team besides injuries, like you said. So for me, I don't see them losing in the National League right now, and I just don't think they need any pieces.
Yeah, and I don't disagree as far as, having to go out and make that major splashy move, that's for sure. But, as we saw a year ago, and talking to some of the guys before they went out on the road, I mean, ask Michael Harris. I mean, last year you had just a crazy second half that, sent you guys into October, and maybe, when you expend that much energy to win the division and then have a layoff, it might have had a negative effect. I don't know. But other than that, I really can't think of anything that might be, possibly standing in the Braves' way other than the injuries. I mean, that's the big thing. And every club, has that danger each and every day. But, this is a team that is extremely good. I think it's the deepest lineup in baseball. That's why I really don't feel like they have to go out and make any potential upgrades. They pretty much have everything in the lineup 1 through 9 about where they want to. And speaking of Michael Harris, if that's your number 9 hitter, I mean, this is a ridiculous lineup. And it's been impressive to watch, and clearly what Ronald Acuna Jr. has been doing. Matt Olson pushing maybe a 50-homer season. Sean Murphy's exploded, having a breakout season at the plate. I mean, these are all guys that I think are going to be ending up getting some MVP votes in terms of Acuna and Olson and Murphy, and maybe even Austin Riley, who just went on a heater as well. This is just a really powerful lineup, and I think I know we talk about pitching winning in October, but this lineup, it can certainly make a big difference on any given night.
Grant, what do you think of the rest of the division? Todd started to mention it. The disappointment of the Mets, the re-rise right now to some extent of the Phillies. They've had their ups and downs, but to me still, and I've watched a lot of Phils lately, they look like a playoff team that people wouldn't want to mess with, much like last year. What do you think? Obviously, we know where the Nats are at. They're selling, and the Marlins are weird too. So what do you think? You watch this division quite frequently.
Yeah, well, let me go ahead and tell you, I wouldn't overlook the Phillies. And as they showed, and as the Braves did in 21, I mean, you get hot at the right time. You can make a run through that 3 weeks of October. And that, I think, it adds to the drama, obviously, of the postseason because of some of the unpredictability of it. But yeah, I do think the Phillies are still a club to keep your eye on. The Mets is just such a surprise and such a conundrum because you just kind of figured with what they were bringing back and even the changes that they made, DeGrom for Verlander and so forth, that they were going to be a team that was right there and was capable of winning 95, if not more games, and that just hasn't happened. The Marlins have been kind of the fun surprise. I know they kind of fell flat around the All-Star break and coming out and had that 8-game losing streak, but they can be sneaky buyers, I feel like, at the trade deadline, especially if they feel like they can get into one of these wild card spots. And really, I think their big battle right now, at least, is with the Philadelphia Phillies as far as getting in. So I wouldn't overlook the Marlins or the Phillies, but I think the Phillies, given what they did last year, it just hits a little bit different, no pun intended.
I'm with you, dude. What's your favorite bobble behind you?
Oh, goodness. My favorite bobblehead, I haven't even gotten out of the box yet. I've got the Ron Gant press box bobblehead. This is my new fave. It's right over here on the side. They just gave this away last week, and maybe it's recency bias, but this 30th anniversary of the Fred McGriff trade, in '93, and of course Freddie going into the Hall of Fame over the course of the weekend. I'm just a sucker for the throwback particular day themed bobbleheads, and that press box fire. That's just one of the cool moments in Braves history where it happened like literally and figuratively that Braves club caught on fire that '93 season. So I think right now that's my favorite in the clubhouse.
I like it.
Nice.
Legit. Yeah,
for sure.
Todd Father's a big collector, so and he had it ready,
nice.
like right next to him, ready.
Ready to go.
That's sharp. Hey, Grant, great catching up, dude. Enjoy this trade deadline season.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. And thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you. That's Grant McCauley, and you can catch a lot of his work, like I mentioned earlier, either on the radio on 92.9 The Game, and also he hosts on Locked On Atlanta, and you can catch him on Twitter at Grant McCauley, Grant, and then MCAULEY. And what you're looking at on the screen right now is a chance for you to win a trip to this year's World Series, and the contest ends very soon. Okay? Recreate wants to send you there. You follow at hello_recreate on Instagram for more info. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes end July 31st. Must be 18 or older. For rules, visit charlottesweb.com/World Series. Recreate is the official CBD of Major League Baseball. Okay. So we'll talk to Ross Stripling in about 10 minutes. Let's get back to the trade conversation. I know people were asking questions left and right yesterday, so we'll get back to some of that. But we also would like to spread rumors. You like that?
What a graphic right there.
Nice.
That is gorgeous.
That is. I don't know what the packing the bags has to do with spreading the rumors.
You're getting traded.
Yeah.
Pack your damn bags. Get out of here.
Reach. Great though.
Wait, what's the reach? Come on, let's talk this out.
We don't have like a baseball bag? Like we don't have a baseball bag that we could have packed? Like we're packing like a toiletry bag in a hotel that's a nicely neat bed? That's how trades go down. Trades happen in the jungle.
Yeah, but dude, if you're on the road with your ball club and they go, hey, you got traded, you head back to the team hotel, you grab your little toiletry bag, you put it in your suitcase, they ship the rest of your crap.
Yep.
I mean, you're the expert on this. You tell me.
No, you don't grab your toiletry case. You're already packed up. If it's trade deadline season, you're packed up. You're living with 1 or 2 T-shirts in your locker. You take those things. You might break a hanger on your way out, and you're rolling into the next clubhouse by 6:30 in the morning. It's panic. That looked way too clean.
That's because you're a pro, Kratzy. You're a pro. Like Juan Soto didn't necessarily expect to be dealt last year, and
when he turned down $440 million, he did.
True.
I guess maybe he should have expected it more. All right, so let's spread some rumors. So we went over what Katie Wu covered with Jordan Hicks, so we'll see if he agrees to the discount deal that the Cardinals are definitely offering him. Justin Verlander pitched great again yesterday for the Mets. He's starting to look like JV now consistently, and he keeps reiterating to the media, who keeps asking him about if he's going to be dealt, that, quote, he didn't sign a 1-year deal. He also said that the conversation has not been had with the front office. He also, I think, kind of slyly reminds everyone, like, he's got a no-trade clause. There are a lot of reasons. There are many, many reasons why Justin Verlander is not going to be dealt. Because I think it's up to him, and I don't think he wants to be dealt. Remember, they had to really talk him into leaving Detroit at that time, which ended up working out great. They won a World Series with Houston. But let's get a little sound from JV postgame.
Not really. Like I told you, I just kind of focus on what's ahead of me. I would hope that if there was any chance that Billy would come and talk to me, and that hasn't happened. So I told you that I'm focused on being a Met. That's why I signed here. I want to win here. Obviously, it hasn't gone according to plan just yet, but I didn't sign a 1-year deal. So, there's that.
Kratz, to me, that sounds like a dude that's challenging the front office. Don't even come over to my damn locker and ask me if I would waive that bitch, because it's not happening.
I didn't hear what the question. What was he questioned? Do you think about the trade, or have they approached you about a trade?
The question, I think, was conversations, because I know I at least was reading an article late last night about them talking to him about combos with the front office, and he was like, nope, nothing there.
Okay.
So,
the question wasn't on there, but he just went on something.
He
must have asked some sort of inkling to what he thought. But, yeah, he got right up on him.
Why would to me, I don't think the GM has to come and talk to you. Maybe, hey, you're a Hall of Famer, you're a future Hall of Famer. Maybe he does have to, but I don't ever remember hearing GMs come and talking to guys in a situation like that. If a guy's been with the organization for like 6 or 7 years, they're like, oh, we're sorry, we got to do this. The team's brutal. We're going to trade you. Dude hasn't even been there for, it's like 3 cups of coffee he's drank as a Met.
Yeah, but Kratzy, he has a full no trade clause, so they do have to.
So they have to
very much connect.
If something was in the works, I would say, yeah,
right. But to me, he's already talking to them through the media, saying, "Don't at me, don't come to me," because the answer is no. I'm not going. Even though I will say the chat right now has people disagreeing. So Montgomery says, "Sounds like JV's ready to come back to Houston." Justin says, "I call BS. Verlander signed a multi-year contract for financial security." I'm going to disagree with that part. He's pretty rich right now. Yeah. He doesn't care if it comes from the Mets or not. All he cares about is getting every penny out of the $86.6 million. I'm going to disagree. And here's what I've heard from multiple people, multiple sources. Justin Verlander is liking his life in New York. So fuck off.
Yeah, that's New York. Yeah,
he doesn't have to go anywhere. These conversations happen all the time. Like your boy, Joey Votto, there's been times when the Reds were bad and people are like, oh, they're going to trade him. And I'm like, hold up. They're not going to trade him. No. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to be a Red for life. He wants to be part of the next good Reds team. He wants to go into the Hall of Fame as a Red, and he's stuck with that. I don't think the Reds ever considered going him because I don't think he would have waived his no trade clause.
No, if you got a no trade clause, it's really up to you. Verlander could say what he wants. Oh yeah, I'll get traded, and then he said where to, and he's like, oh, never mind. So like the ball's in his court. I really think he had to answer it like that, whether he feels it like that or not. Just because this is the team he's on, he wants to win, and he still thinks they have a shot, which they do, an outside shot for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think he answered it the right way. I think he understood the task at hand, and he's been pitching well, so he can really say whatever the heck he wants. It's just a matter because it's in, like I said, it's in his court. He could say, yeah, I want to get traded, but guess what? He still doesn't have to get traded. No. So he did everything right there, and he's been dominant, and he's a veteran pitcher, and he deserves to say what he wants.
And Kratzy, if I'm JV, I'm pissed at you. If you're my GM, dude, you know how many wins I've got and how much credibility I've got, like my Machado answer. Yeah,
you're trying to troll me with that answer, Scott. But
baby.
If you're JV, I'm not even going to you if I'm trading you. I'm calling up Kate. I'm gonna say, Kate, is it okay if we trade you? Because I know you guys are real comfortable here in New York. You guys have a 3-year plan to stay in New York. Is it okay? Because that's who's making that decision.
Fine, I'll play Kate. I can play Kate. Hey, who are you?
I am the GM for the New York Metropolitan team.
How many Instagram followers you got, Billy? Not many? Okay. Not worth my time. We've got hundreds of millions. Pretty sure we have this thing called a no trade clause. I'm still actually pissed about that one Cy Young he didn't win years back. So I'm not like in the mood to kind of just be helping other people out. Let's let him shine right here. And let's go try and make the playoffs next year when your boy Cohen buys Ohtani. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
On a side note, wives who say we got traded and we should have won the Cy Young.
It's not a fam? You're not about that?
Oh, the fam. I'm all about the fam. I'm all about we get traded. Like we had to move. We didn't get traded. We had to move. There's complete difference. We can't hit a slider. I can't hit a slider. Like, nah, sorry. Like that doesn't make me love my wife any less. It just makes me keep baseball and marriage separate. Marriage.
Separation of the field and the marriage certificate. Okay, fair. All right, a couple more things to throw your way. First off, we mentioned it a little bit, but the Phillies-Orioles game was great. Good comeback win for the Phils. Also, Cano giving it up. I'm telling you, got to be careful about Cano right now. He might have a phantom, not even a phantom. He might have an IL stint, even though it's not necessarily something hurt. there might be something going on there where they just let him chill for a little bit. Just throwing it out there, but there's a lot of injury updates from that one. What do you got, Kratzy?
I was going to say in the game, they iced him. Harper got on 2 outs, pretty quick inning, and they had a mound visit. His own pitching coach iced him. Now, I don't know what they're working on. There could be like, hey, I want you to make sure, once we get 2 outs, we're still staying locked in. For first pitch, whack, down into the corner in right field. It's a tie ball game. It's like, why did we take a mound visit right there? I'm not sure, but I'm not denying what you're saying. He's definitely getting hit right now because at the beginning of the season, though, he had given up like 6 base runners in, I think, 25 innings. So that's also not going to keep up. So let's pump the brakes. But I'm not sure why the pitching coach came out in that situation.
I think there's some fatigue going on there. But you're right. Yeah, the timeliness there might not have been the move. But I know they've been backing off him a little. They might have to keep doing that. On the Phillies front, Rhys Hoskins update. According to their manager, Rob Thompson, he's doing extremely well. He's now yogging. I don't know what the timeline is because I am not a doctor or trainer, but it seems to me he's further along than I expected him to be. Wait for it. I think there's a chance he could be back.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Whoa. Rhys Hoskins, October 10th? Who wants it?
I love it. I mean, who wouldn't want Rhys Hoskins back on the squad, man? But where does Harper go then?
Hey, mix around with the DH again.
Yeah.
Phillies still have to make that left field move, which I like. And then you just have the depth, too.
He can DH, all that stuff.
Bryce can DH, and I don't know if he's going to play first every day anyway, but Rhys.
Don't forget who's in that clubhouse and who went through the same injury and who came back in what World Series for the Cubs?
Kyle Schwarber.
So Kyle Schwarber's in there. And while everyone says, oh, man, Schwarber came in, really cleaned this clubhouse up, you ask the man, both men to their faces, it was Rhys Hoskins' clubhouse. Mm-hmm. Kyle Schwarber was more out in front. Those guys are like this. And he is in there. He's in there chatting about it. He's not just like, oh, what, Kyle? You had an ACL injury and you came back? I had no idea. And hit 400 in the World Series in 2016. Like, those conversations are being had. So when you're saying, there's a chance, you're going to hear something about Rhys Hoskins taking at bats in September because now AAA goes the whole way through September. Owners have to pay AAA players a ton more. Yeah, they're not letting them skip out early in their season. They're getting the full money's worth, and Rhys can go down there and take at bats if he needs it.
That's important. We'll keep an eye on that. Also, a little side note: Andrew Painter got his Tommy John surgery yesterday, so we'll see him in about a year and a half. Exciting young prospect. Hope he gets well soon. All right, next guest, ready to go. Charlotte's Web Player Access. Sponsored by Recreate, connecting us right now with our buddy Ross Stripling. Chicken Strip, where are you at, man? I like the little house background you got going on there.
Is that a cabin?
Yeah. We live out in the East Bay. When you got a family and you've lived in Toronto in a high-rise, we decided to move on out to the suburbs here in San Francisco. Our AC is out, so it's much nicer outside than it is inside. So I'm outside talking to you guys today.
Oh, well, the Wi-Fi is impeccable and knock on wood, so I'm all about it. I like the outside hangout.
Love it. Hey, I feel like you and I, we were really close. Every time I'm on here, you're on here, which is great. I'm going to send you a Christmas card this year, probably.
Probably. Definitely.
Anyway.
He's on the list.
Oh, second quality start since coming from the back injury. 6+ innings, 3 earned runs on 87 pitches, man. You must be feeling pretty good right now, man. How you been feeling?
Yeah, man. I mean, I got off to a wacky start as a Giant, no doubt about it. I had a kid in spring training that throws a nice wrinkle into everything. And that just really didn't break spring training in a good spot. I was kind of working on some different stuff and never really honed in my pitch mix as it needs to be in the big leagues. And all of a sudden now I'm in Yankee Stadium or facing big league lineups trying to figure out my stuff that was supposed to be done in spring training. And then I get hurt, and it just was a super wacky start. But now back a little bit before the All-Star break and starting to feel like I'm back to myself, mixing anything, any count, not necessarily missing a lot of bats, but getting a lot of soft contact and pitching deep into the game the last 2 times, which our bullpen really needed we started with a crazy road trip, guys. We went out of the All-Star break. We went Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, DC, Detroit. So, the boys are running on some fumes a little bit, but got a big win last night, and we're back home at Oracle and feeling better.
Was that road trip, were you looking at it going, wow, there's some great teams that we can really beat up on? Or is the team looking at it like, whoa, we got 12 games. Was it 12 games, 13 days, or 11 games, 12 days? What was it?
I don't know. I was there, but I can't tell you what it was. It was, the Detroit one was just the icing on the cake, man. I mean, it was a makeup game from earlier in the season, so it was already kind of a tough road trip. We're talking about 3 cities, and then we had supposed to be an off day on Monday, but no, we're going to fly to Detroit and play a makeup game before we go back to San Fran. We looked at the road trip as some winnable games. Obviously, the Cincinnati Reds are flying now, playing them in a 4-game series. That's a really good team, and they're going to be good for a long time. I'm talking about being bullish on the Orioles. I think we should be equally bullish about the Reds. Those guys are controllable and very young. But looking at Pittsburgh and DC in that Detroit game, we thought those were winnable games. We sweep Pittsburgh, then we get swept by the Nationals and lose in Detroit. So we were on the verge of a really good road trip and ended up being an under 500 road trip. The Giants are streaky. If you're going to put one word on the 2023 Giants, it's we're streaky as hell. And we continue to prove that even after a road trip with some winnable games.
Hey, what did you think last night of the sell of the team things that they did at the ballpark, man? They're crafty, they're funny, and were you like seeing it like what's going to happen next kind of thing?
Yeah, it's crazy to see it in person. I've seen it on Instagram. You saw that crazy what was it, like the opposite lockout game or whatever it was called, where everyone showed up. It was packed. We sold it out. I mean, obviously, a ton of fans just up here in the Bay Area, both teams. But it's weird to see something like that in person. So then, obviously, in the dugout, we just start talking like, what are they going to do? What's going to happen? Like this time next year, we're going to be playing in Reno, a big league game in Reno. And I get PTSD because I played a lot of big league games in Buffalo. So I don't necessarily want that for those guys. It'll be interesting to see what happens, man. I'm not envious of their situation. There's some tough stuff going on over there. They're not winning a lot of baseball games, and we broke their hearts again last night with a late win. So, I mean, it's probably a little bleak over there for those guys right now.
How loud was it? Because I saw Alex Cobb post-game saying that during the really, really crazy sell the team chance mid-game, I think it was like in the 5th, he said he couldn't get his pitch comm going because he couldn't hear it.
I mean, it's about as loud as anything I've heard in Oracle all year. We've had a couple walk-offs that maybe are a little bit louder, but that was they were getting after it. I mean, it's I'd say Cobb is about right, man. It's about as loud as anything I've heard in that stadium this year.
Wow. Good. I mean, I'm glad for them. And it's cool. It's cool to see the Bay Area uniting too, right?
No doubt.
I mean, I don't know. You tell me, is Giants A's, in the past several years, the A's haven't been good. So, and I know the Giants are kind of they've had ups and downs, even if you look at the last several years, like obviously 2 years ago, they were great. Is Giants A's, much of a rivalry right now? I would say no. And so they're kind of banding together because I think most people feel for A's fans.
Yeah, I would say that's spot on. There's a lot of talk about kind of what I just touched on. Where will they be next year? And there's I think a possibility where we're sharing a stadium with them because there's so once again, this goes back to the Blue Jays. When we were trying to figure out where we wanted to play, there was talk of us splitting a stadium maybe with the Yankees or whoever it was, but we couldn't do it because TV rights come into play and it's like, I guess, illegal in a way or whatever the word would be. Technically, it's not illegal here because we have the same fan base because if we were to mix in the TV rights or whatever, they're kind of the same, so that we can actually share a stadium with them. So there's a chance that next year we're both playing in this is crazy. I can hear it now in my headphones. There's a chance we're both playing in Oracle next year, which is just kind of a wacky thing to think of. So yeah, at the end of the day, we're big leaguers. They're big leaguers. We want them to be in the best situation possible. So we hope it ends up being a good outcome for them. I guess we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see what happens.
All right, 12-day road trip. What's the first thing you do when you come home from a 12-day roadie?
I went to Chipotle. But Chipotle's everywhere, so that wasn't that cool. You know what? I stepped outside into the Bay Area weather and would just thank God to be back on the West Coast, man. And those cities are fine. I feel like they kind of get a bad rap in the big leagues. They're certainly not the best big league cities, but they're hot and they're humid. Like some of the hottest games I've played are in like Baltimore and Philly and DC. And so then to step off the bus here at Oracle Field, waiting for my bag and just be like, oh man, this is nice.
Okay, so yeah. So what you're saying about that road trip, that was what I was going to ask you. With the All-Star break right before and then those 4 cities you went to, I'm going to set the over-under on wives that came to those cities at 3. Yeah. What are you taking?
Oh, man. I'm taking the under. I think I saw one wife.
And she probably lived there.
Yeah, she lived close. She lived close by, yeah. So yeah, you're spot on. You did it for a long time. That's certainly not one when the schedule comes out that the wives are circling as, oh, yeah, we got to make that one.
Yep, they're refreshed. They're refreshed from the All-Star break. They're like, all right, I think I can get the kids for the next 12 days. We're going to stay at home. And then you get home, you get back to San Fran, and you buy a burrito or you buy a bowl. Which is it?
Yeah, I'm a bowl guy. If I sit and eat it there, which is rare, I usually take it to go. But if I sit and eat it there, I'll eat a burrito. But I'm a bowl guy through and through. Double chicken, large chips and guac on the side. Can't go wrong. Dang. It's like, it's like 1,000 calories straight to the face for like $12.
Baller.
Cool, Kratzy. We haven't had lunch, but just rub it in,
Starving.
man. Hey, Ross, so the big news in the past 24 hours, your former teammate Kiké Hernandez going back to the Dodgers. So your thoughts on the deal? And he had his moments with Boston, but then this year's been a down year for him. I think most people would agree that they wouldn't be surprised if it's a rejuvenated Kiké in the right fit with the ball club that he's used to playing with.
Yeah, I agree. I was texting with him a little bit yesterday. I mean, it's a whirlwind. I don't think he's ever been traded in the middle of a season before, and he's, got a wife and kid that he's trying to move from Boston to LA. I saw a tweet that he had arrived at Dodger Stadium, and you could tell everyone. I mean, he's beloved there. Like, you're talking about probably one of the favorite Dodgers of recent past. So he's going to get a huge ovation when he gets back there. I think he's in the lineup tonight. I saw hitting 6th. He's going to rake lefties. That's what he does. And the Dodgers are going to implement him in a way that gives him a really good chance to have success. And he's going to feel comfortable there, which is a huge part of getting traded, right? Going into a new locker room, bunch of new faces, that can be really, really overwhelming. That's not the case for him. So I'm expecting big things for him. And I'm excited for him. I mean, Boston's obviously in the mix, but the LA Dodgers are almost for sure going to make a playoff run again, as they always do. And he'll probably be right in the middle of it.
What do you think he does first thing when he walks into the clubhouse, knowing Kiké, and he's got a big personality, and it's kind of like cool and weird because he goes back to the ball club? Like, you think he's going to like scream or something and be like, hey, boys? Because, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of dudes that are still there from when he was there last time.
Knowing Kiké, I would guess he walks through the threshold of the locker room, drops his whatever he's carrying, and he twerks or something like that. He'll start dancing. They'll probably even like play a song for him as he walks in, and he just starts dancing and having a good time. He is full of energy. One of the best teammates I've ever had. I think whatever his entrance is going to be, it's going to be high energy, and everyone's going to love it.
What did you text him? What did you guys talk about? Like, did you say just words of encouragement, anything specific? All right, here we go.
Let's look. He's a pretty private dude. He may not like this. I said, man, question mark. Or sorry, man, exclamation point. Sorry, that's an exclamation point. Mm-hmm. Right as you were coming to San Francisco, but now I get to see you twice instead of once, so I'm pumped about that. How are you feeling about it? 2 question marks. So obviously, being a good friend, really worried about him. He said, I don't even know, bro. I'm still numb. I don't know what to think or feel right now. I got to get my family out there. And I said, I get it. You're going back home. Hopefully, it's a great spot for you to finish the rest of the year. He says, I hope so. I was playing a couple times a week in Boston, so if I can get some more playing time and I'll get into the playoffs, it'll be worth it. So
it's legit.
Kind of get a feel for how 2 goofy big leaguers text each other right there in the middle of a trade.
I love that, Kratzy.
So who's more sad about this trade? You that you have to face him, or JT who's still back in Boston and he had sent the tear emojis like, oh, I lost my friend.
I guarantee you JT is devastated. They are very close. Their wives are very close. I bet it's part of the reason he signed in Boston in the first place. I'm not upset because the chance that he's in the lineup against me is probably 50-50, but my teammate Alex Wood, a lefty, probably a little bit upset. Probably thinking about that matchup a little bit already.
Hey, fan question from Justin saying, which LA teammates do you miss the most?
Oh, man. I miss JT for sure. I miss Kershaw a lot. I've been very open about saying I don't think I'd still be in the big leagues without Kershaw's leadership and just what he did for me. And then Seager. I mean, I'm so pumped for what Seager's doing in Texas. I hope he gets healthy soon. All he does is rake when he's on the field. But as far as like really good friends, my wife's really good friends with Corey's wife, Maddie, and then me and Seager are really close. So probably Corey Seager would be the one I actually miss the most as far as just kind of being around every day.
Hey, question from me. Marco Luciano coming up after 6 games in AAA, man. That's pretty cool. He comes up? Is there anything you guys do? You trying to make him feel warm or anything? What do you guys got planned for the young man?
Yeah, I mean, good question. It happened fast, right? I didn't see it till after the game last night. I think he was hurt in spring training, and I had a baby in spring training, so I really didn't see him a ton. So I'm excited to see it firsthand, really for the first time. As far as what we do, the funniest thing we do is we have like a scoreboard up with red stars and gold stars for our rookies when they do bad things and good things. So he'll now have his own column, and he'll start getting red stars and gold stars based on his performance as a rookie. And it's usually off the field stuff, and it's mostly good stuff, but it's how we keep them in check. We all of a sudden got like 9 rookies, so we got to make sure we're implementing them correctly, but also, gosh, man, we expect to win ball games, and we expect those rookies to really help us. So we can't haze them too hard, but it's part of the big league experience,
Who's controlling that? Does everybody have like an app that you can just go on when you see a rookie do something, or is that certain guys have control of that app?
So it's literally a scoreboard that we like. It's like one of those big things you used to do like a science project on that like has the flaps on it. It's like flaps and then straight. It's like, went to Target and bought it, and it gets carried on the planes. One of the rookies, his job's to carry it on the plane, make sure it's always with us. And it ebbs and flows. Sometimes we're super into it. Sometimes we forget about it. Sometimes a rookie has to do something really funny or really great for us to be like, oh yeah, we got to bring that back. But it's always with us. So it's a running tally of just how they've been doing all year. And most of them are doing great.
Now, say he comes in, does well his first game, like Frelick did with the Brewers, and then goes to the spread with no shirt on, is eating with no shirt on. Would that be a red or would that be a green sticker there?
Gosh, that's probably red. That's probably a red sticker. Yeah, I think you guys have been around for a long time. That's one of like the only rules that's actually stuck around is let's be fully clothed in the food room if we can.
You're saying you don't like little cheddar on your spaghetti and meatballs?
We could get them like no? I don't know what his like chest hair situation is, but we could get him like a beard net or like a hair net, but like for his chest hair, so it doesn't sprinkle in there.
It's called a bra.
Invention. What's the worst thing a rookie did this year then to like get the red star?
Oh, yeah, I can't throw him under the bus.
Don't say the name, but just say, you don't have to say the name, but like, can you tell me what it was? Is it like showing up late?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't. No, I'm sorry. It's not even, no, I promise you it's not that bad. I'm just,
okay.
It's kind of the same thing. So like, for instance, when Joe Musgrove the other day said, we could trade away players, named his teammates and said, and we'd still be a good team. That like ran through our locker room because you just don't really hear teammates say their other teammates' names very often. So after Musgrove did that, I think I'm going to lay off that trend.
Okay, fair. Well, and also the answer, because Kratzy can tell you this best, is saving it for the book. Kratzy, tell him you got one.
You're a reader.
Oh, nice. I need that, man. I haven't seen it. Yeah, I'm a reader.
Yeah.
I need it.
It's fresh. Last week.
Sweet, man. Congratulations, dude. That's awesome. Big accomplishment.
Thank you. I didn't write it. Somebody that was actually really good at writing wrote it.
He knows probably who it is that wrote it.
Tim Brown. You ever run across Tim Brown at all? He was with Yahoo.
What has he written? The name sounds familiar.
He wrote Rick Ankiel's book, and he also wrote. He also wrote Jim Abbott's book, The Imperfect.
Awesome,
and he was
man.
Yahoo sports writer for a minute. So we'll save it there. We'll save it there. That's all.
Yeah.
I had one more on Luciano. So he spent 6 whopping games at AAA. Is AAA overrated?
Gosh, great question. I didn't go to AAA. I played a season in AA and then broke with the big league team the next year. So anytime I've been optioned a couple times and pitched in AAA, I would say no. I obviously I didn't spend a lot of time there, but I have heard that people think that's the biggest jump. And Kratzy, Todd, you guys might be able to say that as well. But the biggest jump is from AA to AAA in the minor leagues. Just the talent gap. Those pitchers, a lot of them have big league experience. They really know where the ball is going. They throw wrinkles and hitters counts. You don't just automatically get a heater because you worked a 2-0 count. So I would say it's usually a big stepping stone, especially for a hitter to start seeing experienced pitching like that. But when you got it, you got it. And right now the Giants need it. We need some pop. We need maybe some new blood in our lineup a little bit where he can do some damage for us. And, I imagine he's in the lineup tonight, and we're going to be expecting big things as we have from all our rookies. I mean, think of Schmidt, who came up and hit 500 for a couple weeks. Matos is doing great things for us consistently, and he's another rookie we're going to throw into the mix and expect him to help us win ball games.
There's been twice now that you've spit in my face. You were born in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, and you're like, no, I'm from Texas. And then you're like, oh, I really didn't go to AAA. I'm getting a pension from AAA. I think I have full pension. I have 10 years. I have a gold card. I can get into any AAA game for free. And you never even went. You went straight from AA to the big leagues.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Kratzy. I don't regret it, though. If I could do it all over again, I'd do it the same way.
I wouldn't wish it. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So good for you.
Thanks.
Hey, last thing from me. The Dow is on a 12-game winning streak right now.
Where
How we doing today? Are we still hot today?
He's checking.
It's been even all day, and then it's in the last 30 minutes. It's bumped up. I think we're going to get our 13th day in a row, which I believe will be second ever. I think the record's 14. So if we get tomorrow up again, it'd be tied for the record.
Unbelievable, baby.
Pretty crazy, man.
Nobody say anything stupid. Just.
That's it.
Let the train keep going. Okay.
I'm not even aware of it, honestly.
Right? Yeah. We don't see it. Yeah. I don't want to be, I'm not that guy, superstitious or anything.
I'm selling.
Run. Yep.
Just like the trades.
Last one from me is a different question. I know we touched on Padres for a sec, but yesterday, Machado was hit by a pitch right after Soto bashed a homer. And then we were debating the post-game quote from him and if it was cool. Because he actually, he didn't go after him or anything. Obviously, we would have been talking about that a lot more if it happened. But the post-game quote was, I guess people don't respect people anymore. I guess that's what's changed. 300 pumps in the show, 10 years plus, but it is what it is. Ain't no worry. We got the win, which is the most important part, and nothing was broken, so we're good. You played with him, right?
I did, yeah. Machado's always good for a good quote. But, yeah, I played with him. We traded for him at the All-Star break at the trade deadline in 2018.
That's all you got?
What's the follow-up? Well, I thought you were going to have more of a question.
Yeah. No, my question is, so Kratz, help to explain this for me. Because, right, like I'm the only non-player that messes around on this show. And Kratz was like,
he didn't like it. He wasn't feeling the comment.
I didn't mind he was pushing the resume across. You guys explain what happened, because he wasn't on with us earlier.
Kratz thought there was a little arrogance behind it. Like, look at me. I don't get talked about enough, so I'm going to say what I want to say. And I thought he came out with a good quote, like, give me a little respect here, bro. Why you throw, that's my opinion.
And it was intentional. And there wasn't like past beef that we knew about. It's honestly kind of a no-name pitcher at the moment, although he's a big dude. But Kratzy, you got anything else?
No, he hit it perfectly. And it might be my bias towards the guy, but you don't need to sit there and go, yeah, well, Ross, this is Ross Stripling. When Ross comes out on the mound, not really a guy you want to mess with. It was like does Manny need a hug? Does Manny need I feel like Manny needs a hug. Somebody needs to tell Manny he's doing well. Like, do you have any problem with him quoting his stats?
No, I don't have a problem with it. I guess you don't see it very often. So it's
right.
It's kind of, so I will say, Manny was, after that year, if you can remember, Manny had some weird stuff happen in the playoffs. He stepped on Aguilar's foot. He, didn't really hustle in a big World Series. He hit a ball off the wall that I think he thought was a homer. It ended up a single because he didn't really hustle. So when I got home from that season, he was the only guy anybody asked me about. He's like, dude, what's Manny's deal? What's his problem? Like, all that. So I think some of it comes across tough for his image, but at the end of the day, Manny's a great teammate, and he's the leader of that Padres team, and a guy that they really rely on, and he's on fire right now. And I don't think anybody would ever say they don't want him on his team as a player or as a leader, as a teammate. So sometimes he's in the media for these wacky things, but at the end of the day, I think anyone that's played with him or been around him would have his back, and that's kind of what I'll say about this situation, even though it's really not that big of a deal. I would take Manny Machado on my team any day.
Thank you.
No doubt. No doubt.
I've covered him and known him for years too. So I think sometimes misunderstood. I know Padres haven't been good. I think there's some other issues on that team, some other dudes maybe, but Manny's pretty chill.
He's
whatever.
A beast.
Just saying. Hey Ross, good stuff, dude. As always, appreciate the time, man. We really enjoyed the conversation. We'll catch you again in a few weeks, and let's see the Giants get some couple trade additions and make a little run here.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun couple days, guys. Keep up the good work. I'll talk to y'all next time.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next time. Ross Stripling, San Francisco Giants. We'll see you soon, dude. Joining us right here on FT Live. And a reminder, Recreate, the official CBD of MLB, wants to send you to the 2023 World Series. Follow _Recreate on IG. You post a photo in your favorite baseball gear using the hashtag #LivePlayRecreate along with the hashtag RC Sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. The sweepstakes ends July 31st. It's open to legal residents of the 50 U.S. states and D.C. age 18 plus. For rules, visit charlottesweb.com/World Series. Recreate, the official CBD of Major League Baseball. Let's slap them hands. So I'd like to shout out the premiere of Legends Territory. It'll be premiering now each week on YouTube. So we'll run it at a special time where you can watch it out, kind of like a live play out at 6 o'clock Eastern on YouTube if you're new to the premiere world. And Bronson Arroyo is joining us. So the episodes drop every Wednesday, which is today, on YouTube Premiere and also on Spotify and on Apple if you want to carry it with you on the go. And Todd Father is on there with your former mate.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. Reds Hall of Famer now.
Yeah. And you know what? The part that I think is interesting, and he'll get into it, is he's still tied in with the current ball club, which not a lot of guys are just dropping into the clubhouse like, hey, guys.
The Reds have always been known for that.
Really?
You got Pete Rose that just drops in, all these old timers that just, Eric Davis, who actually works for him. But and anytime an old timer or a guy that played before wants to come in and play the guitar like Bronson does and chill out, I mean, if I'm a player, I'm loving every second of that. So
that's cool.
It's really nice what they do. Spring training is unbelievable when they do that kind of stuff.
They bring a lot of the vets in, right?
Yeah. They come out in bunches.
Johnny Bench.
Yep.
Larkin's obviously all over the place around.
Chris Heisey.
We haven't seen him lately. No.
Ryan Hannigan.
Yep. Keep it going, baby.
Hey, Chris Heisey's son is a beast, by the way.
Yeah, he is.
Oh my God.
He's going to be in the show.
He's huge.
Is he a baseball
monster.
player?
He's a
or
baseball.
Football?
I think baseball. I think he does it all.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to text him, but he looks like he's going to be an athlete.
Okay. We'll
Travis
look him
Wood.
up.
Here you go with all the
going,
because you played all these guys.
Of course, all your boys.
I'm glad get out of here. I'm glad we're almost done. He's being crazy.
One more from me. I just want to play out chapter 2 of Ellie De La Cruz versus the Brewers scoreboard operator. So if you flash back to yesterday and you can see what we covered, they were like, he almost hit a homer, but he didn't. But then he did when they threw that up on the scoreboard. And our guys, Todd and Kratz, said that they look at the scoreboard. So now, last night, chapter 2, player trivia. The scoreboard crew has no further comment at this time. And guess what? It worked.
Yeah. That was perfect. I mean, it was funny too, cute at the same time. But it made for good TV.
It didn't homer.
Yeah, but they lost.
They did lose though. Brewers did lose. So I mean, and they did win the day before. So pick your poison.
Big one today. Big one.
Big
going
one
on
last
right now. 0-0 in the third
with Brewers and Reds.
Yes.
Yep. And you can see it actually if you got a BetMGM account and it's funded, you can check that out actually. Free 99 right within the app. And also we'll be in Atlantic City, this crew, on Friday. We still got a show on Thursday too, obviously 1 to 3 Eastern, but we will be in Atlantic City on Friday. You got a yellow hat staring at us, so finish strong there, dude.
Yeah, but I got to first say I'm glad I didn't do the legend territory with Bronson Arroyo. I still can't sleep at night having to face him. I would much rather face Kimbrel 9 times than Bronson Arroyo 20 times. Wow. Not a chance I could get a hit against that guy's curveball and his large, stiff front leg. The hat today was a gift. Nobody knows what this is because it's a small junior college in New Hampshire. Concord.
I was going to say New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, Concord. This is a junior college.
Wow.
This is a junior college. It was a gift from Craig Levine, hanging out, big, huge Fisher Cats fan. befriended them. It's the Tech Institute of New Hampshire. And so I appreciate the gift. And it's actually it's a super, super comfy hat and unique colors. I don't have many yellow hats like this besides my yellow striped Pirates hat that I have.
Brown and yellow, my high school colors. Watchung Hills, brown and yellow.
Mine was maroon and white.
I like maroon and white better. Brown and yellow obviously can be perceived in many ways. We ended up kind of tweaking it to gold, but I like what you're doing there. It's like the brown is not super prominent. There's just a lot of yellow going on there. So if you can't find Kratzy, he puts that on, you immediately find him.
You see me on the boardwalk with this. My kids are like, "Oh, there you are." Although if I take my hat off, they're like, "Oh, there you are."
There he is.
Big old head just sticking way out above everyone else.
We do have a sunglasses deal soon, so we'll get that going. Nice. I just got him in the mail. It's fresh. So on FT Live on Thursday, that's tomorrow, Lance Lynn either traded or his last appearance with the White Sox. I cannot wait. That's the beauty of this show, trade deadline season, with Lance and Ken Rosenthal to swipe left or right through all of the rumors. Woo, it's going to be a day. This is maybe my favorite week of the year for FT Live specifically, because we just do whatever the hell we want. Tell it like it is. We'll see you then. Send us questions on Instagram too. I'll bring some up on Thursday. Later.